Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia Capizzello. I'm representing the Maryland Office of the Public Defender. My current role is as Deputy Public Defender for Baltimore City. But for the 23 years that preceded that, I defended kids in Baltimore City in the juvenile court system and the criminal court system. I've also engaged in stakeholder work aimed at reducing the use of unnecessary detention, increasing the use of diversion. I started my career of service in the Jesuit Volunteer Corps, where I was an AIDS outreach worker, and I'm really pleased to be here with all of you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How you doing today? My name is Juvenile, and I'm here representing We Rise, and I am very grateful for this opportunity to be here, especially at this young age, and I very appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Terry Gibbs. As Ruben said, I'm here to represent We Rise. I attend St. Francis Academy. I'm running for Royal Court in school also, and I also want to thank you for the opportunity. It's a blessing to have this opportunity, sir.
Well, thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge. My name is Aaron Betzinger, Dr. Aaron Betzinger. I'm a research assistant professor at the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Social Work. For 15 years, I've led evaluations and been involved in evaluations related to every stage of case processing at the Department of Juvenile Services and also evidence-based practices. Happy to be here.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Artie Crowder. I represent the Department of Juvenile Services. I am a case manager in the intake area at the Baltimore City Juvenile Justice Center. I also serve on the executive board for AFME Local 3167. I've been with the agency for 13 years.
Well, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Denise Henderson. I am an 18-year employee of the Department of Juvenile Services, but I am also the president of AFME Local 3167, representing employees of the Department of Juvenile Services and the unit vice president for the Council 3, AFME Council 3.
Thank you. My name is Tom Woods. I'm with the NEEKC Foundation in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm here representing Nate Bayless, who is the director of our Juvenile Justice Strategy Group, who regrets that he had a conflict today and was not able to attend this meeting, but asked me to relay how excited, how thrilled we are to be part of supporting this initiative.
Well, with that, I'm going to take a 3-minute break. There are refreshments, as you can see, just behind us. So I would invite you, if you need, thank you, Mr. Secretary. We do have, I think, 4 commissioners joining us electronically. So I want to make sure that we hear from you as well. I'm too far away from the screen to read the names. So I'm going to start with Susan Leviton and go around the square. Susan, if you would introduce yourself, please. You're on mute. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, Susan.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, yes.
Okay. My name is Susan Leviton. I taught for 48 years in the clinical law program at the University of Maryland Law School, and I run a juvenile law clinic where we represented children in abuse and neglect, delinquency, and special education. And I'm very excited to be part of this group and hopefully to talk about best practices and how we can provide a full range of services for kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I hope you're feeling better. I know you've had every intention of being with us today.
Yeah,
Next.
I got a bad one.
Next, anyone?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Rafael Lopez, and I serve as the Secretary of the Department of Human Services. It's good to be here with you all. And just a heads up, I will only be able to join until 4 p.m. and then I'm going to have a member of my team continue the conversation so they can monitor the group. Great to be with you all.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Next.
Hi, my name is Carlotta Woodward. I'm the Chief of the Juvenile Division in the State's Attorney's Office here in Montgomery County. And I am representing the Maryland State's Attorneys Association, and I'm very much looking forward to being on this, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Lacey Davis, and I am an advocate in our juvenile division of Anne Arundel County. And I've been in the office for 17 years, and I've been an advocate in the juvenile unit for 10 years. And I'm very excited to be part of this committee.
Wonderful. And last but not least, have we heard from everyone? Okay. 3-minute break, please. Help yourself if you want. Just some refreshments over here. And we'll resume in 3 minutes.
Yeah, I live in Anne Arundel. Yeah. Funny though, last night, the poll, how many people thought they were just going in the voting.
But yeah, there's.
But I took the. So. Yeah, thank you for being here. Sorry, we appreciate it. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Please resume your seat.
I was.
But you need.
So, I'm passing, some of you signed in, some of you did not. So I'm passing around the attendance sheet. If you would add your name to it if you haven't already. And your phone number. Thank you very much. So once again, welcome. This is going to be an exciting experience for all of us. An opportunity to really go hands-on in important work for the children of this state. The speaker and the president rightly took credit for this bill together with others. But I got to tell you, I've rarely seen a bill quite this expansive. By my count, and I counted every one of them, I'm sure most of you have as well, there are literally 22 discrete, specific tasks with which we are charged. And there is some overlap. But this bill is a heavy lift. And I say that because having heard you all introduce yourselves and having reviewed some of the bios, it is just so heartening for me as your appointed chair to know that we have the kind of background, expertise, diversity of experiences that will make this heavy lift a little lighter. The expertise in this room, in my view, is unparalleled. And so I think you should join me in setting a very high bar for the performance of our work. Excellence will be the coin of the realm, and we will produce work products that the citizens of Maryland, our elected officials, parents, educators, subject matter experts can all, judges can all be rightly proud of. I am just so excited to get to work with all of you. You simply cannot exaggerate the broad scope of what we're being asked to do. As I put it in an interview, this will be a soup to nuts examination, review of data, practices, history, recent history, ancient history, present practices, all aimed at developing recommendations, making findings, and developing recommendations that we can make to our elected officials, the governor, the legislature, the courts, and related agencies to improve the life chances of the children of our state. And I promise you that we will bring to this work a rigor, an attention to detail, a focus on evidence-based practices, an appreciation for the need to educate all of us, including legislators, Madam Speaker, and judges and educators and parents about what children need, what helps children thrive, and how systems can do the work that we want systems to do to make sure children indeed thrive. All children. And by the way, it's not spelled out in the statute. I can't find it anywhere. But part of the mandate of this commission, in my judgment, will be to keep children out of the juvenile system in the first place. It would be a derogation, in my view, of our responsibility to the children and their parents and guardians of this state to overlook that as a necessary predicate for the work that we do. So, I've sort of complained, we got 22 jobs to do and I just added another one. Okay, you see where I'm coming from. I expect that we will hear from experts, from a vast array of domains. Most of you know that the increase in knowledge in the area of neuroscience, developmental tiers for young people has just exploded in the last 20 years. We have got to get our hands around that knowledge. And we have got to distill from that knowledge, from available resources, using the commitment that I know we have from our elected leaders and our appointed leaders, to identify how we can do right by children in this state. Justice-involved children are children. Justice-involved children need what children need, more of it, more systematic deliveries of it, and a more focused and holistic approach to their needs. And that's what I believe we will do. That's what I'm confident we will do with the expertise, the commitment that all of you are bringing to this work. So, it's already been mentioned. Let's talk a little bit about a few housekeeping matters, including a review of the statute, how we're going to run the commission, how you're going to run the commission, how you're going to be able to contribute to the maximum extent of your expertise, your availability, and so on. First of all, we're subject to the Open Meetings Act. I think most of you know that. We're a state entity. We're open to the public. We will be recording all of our meetings, not least of all to ensure that our minutes are as accurate as possible. We will operate under Robert's Rules of Order, generally speaking. Beyond that, we will be collegial. We will be collaborative. We will be respectful of each other and all the views that are expressed in our sessions and in our communications. I know that not one of you wants to do it any other way, and that's the way we're going to do it. I expect we will take testimony from experts, from thought leaders, from community people, members of the public, appointed officials, government officials, elected officials. My approach is always, I don't care where an idea comes from. I never care who has an idea. I say we look at ideas on the merits, examine them, test them, check the data, look at the evidence, discuss our respective views, and distill again the truth about what is necessary to achieve our goals, our many goals. So let me stop there. By the way, I'm doing more talking in this meeting than you will hear me talk in any other meeting. I guarantee. Bethany, I'm going to call on Bethany, Dr. Bethany Young, our wonderful staff, together with Ainsley Minch, who will be your principal contact on staff work and many other things. They've been working really hard to make this moment happen. So Bethany's going to review the statute for us. Yes, of course.
And we've had one more commissioner come in since we started. Delegate Phillips, do you want to introduce yourself?
Oh, yes. Judge, good to see you. Delegate N. Scott Phillips, 10th Legislative District, a member of the Judiciary Committee.
Thank you, Delegate Phillips. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. And I also missed a couple people on the staff team. We have Tyler Matthews, who's the intern here. We also have Jeff Zuback, who's the Director of Research, Analysis, and Data here at OCAS, and down at Irwin. Who works with Jeff in the Maryland Statistical Analysis Center. They will be one of the resources available to you with data requests. So I'm going to briefly, I don't want to get too far in the lead, go over what the legislation outlined for the commission to do. As you know, at this point, the commission was authorized by House Bill 814. It was signed by Governor Moore in May, I want to say. You need anything or there are 28 members total on this commission. I'm including members of the House of Delegates, the Senate, the Judiciary, the Department of Human Services, and the Department of Juvenile Services. The commission is responsible for reviewing these programs and services provided by state, local, and community-based agencies, researching promising new practices and programs, monitoring certain juvenile justice system services, processes, and outcomes, and making recommendations to improve all of those programs and services. To get a little bit more specific, the commission will look at systems and coordination that includes all services, facilities, and programs administered by the Department of Juvenile Services, the children in need of supervision, process, and wait times for placement in DJS facilities. We will also be looking at ways about data and research. So data on recidivism and coordination between DJS, state's attorneys, and community-based organizations. We will also be responsible for interpreting some of the work that's happening in the state for members of the public. We are also charged with looking closely at what's available currently in communities and what we'd like to see offered in communities that are led by community members, researching and making recommendations about effective and innovative programs, and recommending ways to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of those programs. The commission will also identify and review youth reentry opportunities available through DJS as well as the Department of Labor. The commission will also look at coordinating resources to support existing and potential programs with a focus on cost effectiveness and effectiveness overall. One of the areas that will not be subject to the Open Meetings Act is the fatality review part of the work, which is looking at deaths involving children who are under the supervision of the Department of Juvenile Services. And last but certainly not least, the commission is charged to look at specifically at the needs and challenges of girls who find themselves involved in the juvenile justice system. The commission is required to meet 6 times a year, and we have a report due on October 1st, 2025, and annually thereafter. So if you look in your folders, the part that's hole punch, so there's much more detail about the tasks and responsibilities of the commission. And of course, we felt that if you have any questions or want some clarification on what is included in all of it.
Thank you, Bevan. And there will be time at the end of this meeting for dialogue, questions, observations, and so forth. But let's talk now about how I'd like to see the commission actually operate. As I've suggested, we expect active participation by every commissioner. Every commissioner will have full opportunities to express views, to collect data, to bring information, to share in the work of the commission. In fact, it's very important that every commissioner do that. I should mention, there is an attendance requirement for those of you who have been appointed by the governor. Under state law, I didn't make this up. If you don't attend at least 50% of the meetings every year, your appointment could lapse or you could be sent to the principal's office. So we do expect active participation and regular attendance. Now, with regard to attendance, all of you know, I'm sure, technology, however hard you try to prepare for it, it's glitchy, it's imperfect. We really want to have as many of you here for every in-person meeting as possible. It's really very critically important to me as the chair that we be together in community discussing these important issues. So I would ask you to make every conceivable effort to attend. Generally speaking, Wednesdays appear to be a good day for most of you. Why? I'd say, well, what the heck? You're here. Here. So going forward, we're gonna, I think the head shaking. But going forward, we're gonna try to create a set meeting date and time so that you can put it in your calendar. And as Bethany said, we gotta have at least 6 meetings a year. Okay? So again, it's really important that we all get together. Now, I will set aside 2 hours for every meeting. That does not mean that every meeting will take 2 hours. And in fact, unless we have expert witnesses coming in to testify or to make presentations, my guess is that meetings won't take 2 hours, but we'll set aside 2 hours. And so if you're late, that's okay. Please do the best you can to come in. The work will be all over the place. And so, as you see in your packet, we have a draft manual, commission manual in your packet. And I do mean draft. I welcome any observations about the process and procedures spelled out in that draft. And I'm sure it will be tweaked and revised as appropriate. But what we've done with those 22, now 23 tasks, is we tried to condense them into what we call work groups. Work groups. So we have about 5 work groups. We'll have more to say about that in a moment. And again, the charge we're giving each of the work groups, and indeed, the name of the work group is a draft in each instance. So what I'm charged with doing as chair is appointing a vice chair for the commission, who will preside in my absence, and a secretary. Now, important word about the secretary. You know, many of us have been on many boards and commissions. Okay. Many of us have been on boards of various types, and the secretary is regarded as the person who takes notes. Not in this commission. I've said to Bethany and Ainsley, no, that's a staff function. Okay, so the secretary of the commission will be responsible for, maintaining the minutes and the records of the commission, but we will have staff support in keeping minutes, producing minutes, and so on. So I will be making those appointments, and I will be making appointments as chairs, co-chairs of the various task work groups. So I think you've got a sheet in your packet. Unfortunately, we didn't leave a place for you to put your name. So the first thing I'd like you to do is put your name on that sheet with the list of work groups. And add your phone number, please, your best phone number when you put your name. And what I would like you to do is rank order your preferences for appointment to the work groups. And again, I emphasize, we've got descriptions of the proposed work groups. As you can see, there are 5. One we call fatality review, and that's a very specific prescription that is set out in the statute itself. So as I could put it, you're going to investigate any death involving a child in the jurisdiction of the Department of Juvenile Services. The death of a child or the death of anyone else where a child involved in JF Department of Services. Juvenile justice processes and system coordination. As you can tell from the title, that's very broad and will cover an awful lot, including data mining, data review, data compilation. Number 3, treatment and services, equally broad, working very closely with DJS staff experts and others to do a deep dive review into the entire programmatic contours of what juveniles and minors in Maryland receive both in state and out of state. Youth reentry, again, it's itself a broad category because it requires us to examine what is reentry, what is recidivism, what do we need to do to reduce recidivism? What do we need to do to educate the public, elected officials, parents, educators about what recidivism is and how best to reduce it to zero? That's the goal. None of us is perfect. And then finally, public education and narrative change. And this is very important. One of the things that we need to do, and I have this straight from the governor, one of the things we need to do is learn how better to talk about juvenile justice. It's a real thing that we, and I say this as a judge, retired judge, long in the system, we don't know how to talk about this with our friends and family. We don't know how to talk about the needs of children. We don't know how to remind people that we are in fact talking about children. And so this work group will be charged with really doing a deep dive into public perceptions, private perceptions, language, best practices, and that will be, I think, a very impactful part of the commission's work. So again, these are drafts. Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just given your interest and prevention, I was wondering where you see that work, like what work you're speaking that trying to manage
Which?
prevention. You
Prevention?
spoke earlier about.
I'd say all of them.
Okay.
Okay. The question was, if I was serious, and I was, about adding to our charge, preventing children from becoming court involved, justice system involved, where does that part of our mandate fit? And my answer is in every one of these work groups. And as I was about to say, these are drafts. I expect there will be some tweaking. Again, the statute has 22 specific tasks. Now, 23. So it will be covered. So here's what I want to do. I want to collect those sheets, not right now, but when you rank order your preferences, what I intend to do with the staff is appoint 2 co-chairs of every work group, and each commissioner will serve on 2 work groups. So I mean, when I'm saying this is real work, this is real work. So the co-chairs will consult with me and with staff and with the members of their work groups to refine, further develop the description and mission of each work group. So that's my vision. That's my plan. That's my hope and my expectation. Now, we have to deliver a report by October 1st of every year. And next year, we will deliver a report in a very timely fashion. As I sit here right now, I have no idea exactly what that report's going to report. It may be little more than, hey, Governor, hey, Madam Speaker, hey, Mr. President, here's what we've done so far. It may be that that's all we can say. 11 months from now. And as long as we have rolled up our sleeves and put in the work to make a report of that sort meaningful to the governor and to the legislature, I'm fine with that. There is no sunset on this commission. Some of you who were appointed by the governor, as I'm sure you know, have been appointed for 1 year. Some of you appointed by the governor have been appointed for 2 years. And some of you appointed by the governor have been appointed for 3 years. It's a 3-year term. So those of you who were appointed for fewer than 3 years will be up for reappointment, some next year and some 2 years from now. So you'll have an opt-out. You know, it's like these football players have opt-outs on their contracts. Next year, if you decide, you know, Judge Davis is out of his mind. He's too demanding. I hope you don't feel that way, but even if you do, I hope you'll say, it's okay, I'm gonna stay with it. So you will be reappointed. If you were appointed for 1 year, I guarantee you, you will be reappointed next year for a full 3-year term. And then likewise, those of you appointed to 2-year terms, I hope will not be scared off by the hard work that we're called on to do and will accept appointment to a 3-year term. So we'll have a 3-year rolling appointments of commissioners. But frankly, and you can serve for 2 3-year terms without going off the commission. And it's my hope, I really mean this, I really mean this. Today is so special for so many reasons. It's my hope that 6 years from now, those of us in this room are sitting in a room like this somewhere, patting ourselves on the back for the quality of work that we have produced and for the meaningful impact that it is likely to have had and will have on the children of Maryland. That's my hope. That's my hope. So, as I said, I'm talking a lot more in this meeting than I will talk ever again. I'd like you to fill out those sheets, rank order your choices, put your phone numbers on it, because I'm going to have individual conversations with each one of you over the next couple of weeks. And your name. And your name. That's phone number. And I want to talk to you about what your interests are, what you feel your expertise is. Frankly, I'm going to ask you, how much time do you have to devote to this work? Because I don't want to ask for more than you're willing to give, but I'm assuming you're willing to give what we need from you to make this succeed. So that's how I intend to proceed. I think that's all I need to say for now. You can tell I'm passionate about this work. As I've said over and over again, I was a judge for 30 years, and as I put it the other day, if I haven't seen it all, I've seen most of it. State, federal, trial court, appellate court. So I care about people involved in the justice system, and I care deeply about young people who are involved in the justice system. And I know we can do better by it. I got an email after the media reports came out about my appointment last week from a guy living and working in Montgomery County. And he was a guy that I sentenced to life in prison in about 1996 when I was on the federal court. And about 3 or 4 years ago, after they had changed the law and permitted people who were serving long sentences in federal prison including life sentences, for which there's no parole in the federal system, there was a change in the law that permitted people to seek reconsideration. And so this guy's lawyer, like several other of the people I had sentenced back in the 90s, had contacted me when she was preparing his petition for reconsideration and provided me with his history of how he had rehabilitated himself in federal prison, 20+ years of no infractions, excellent work record, providing support as best he could to his children on the outside, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I wrote a letter, as I have for several others, because I had retired by this time. I wrote a letter to the judge who was considering his petition for reconsideration, essentially. Very supportive of him. And I told the judge, I would not have given him life without parole if I had a choice. So it was very meaningful for me the other day. He's been out now for about 3 or 4 years, as I said. Very meaningful to me to get an email from him the day after the media reported my appointment. And he said to me, Judge Davis, I'm so pleased that you've agreed to do this. So that's what I know about people. That's what I know about children. That people and children can be involved in the justice system. And they can come out the other end. And that's what I think we're about. Making sure, as best we can, that they don't go into the justice system. But our focus is on those who do get court involved and how we create a system in this state that is the envy of the country, if not the world, and how we lift up justice-involved children so that they can thrive and grow. So that's the end of my sermon. I appreciate you indulging me in that regard. But I wanted to share some of the passion that I have, and I believe you have, because you wouldn't have agreed to do this if you didn't have the passion to get the work done. So
Good afternoon, sir. Might I ask a couple of quick follow-up questions?
there was one last thing that I didn't say. I will be the spokesperson for the commission. I see some smiles, because I think most of you are thinking, yeah, great. Obviously, all of you have a First Amendment right to say whatever you want to whomever you want. But of course, you don't have a right, and actually, I'm sure you're not interested in speaking on behalf of the country. Now, frankly, so far, there's not a whole lot to say on behalf of the commission. We haven't done the work yet. But I expect to get regular, inquiries from the media, and I'm happy to receive them. Most of them I'll hand off to Bethany. But where appropriate, I will respond to media requests. And I'm not afraid to, I think, from my perspective, the media has the right to ask all the questions they ask. They don't have a right to have particular answers to every question. But we will be transparent. And if you get any calls from the media, you're not speaking on behalf of the commission. My suggestion to you is that you refer the media to Bethany or to me, but to Bethany, our staff person. And when we have something to say to the public, to the media that's useful, that's educative, enlightening, we'll say it. We'll say it in writing, and we'll say it through the words of the chairperson. I think that's all we wanted to cover. Oh, Secretary Lopez, yeah.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you. I just wanted to, I put it in the chat. I want to understand something so that I'm clear. Will the work groups that we're being asked to prioritize be staffed, and if so, by whom?
Our trusty staff right here.
So Bethany?
Dr. Young and Amy Mitch are our staff.
And then in responding virtually to these work groups, to whom do we send this? Because it's not an interactive form, so I can't click on it virtually. I'm happy to send an email. Do I send that to Bethany?
Yeah, thank you please send it to Bethany.
Great.
For those of you who joined us by Zoom, please send your rank ordered requests for appointment to work groups to Bethany. And I'm sure everyone has Bethany's email address. Okay, let me throw it open. Questions, observations, resignations? Not accepted. No resignations being accepted today. Yes.
I just want to confirm that we're going to meet 6 times a year.
Yes.
And I thought on the agenda that we are going to talk about schedule, or did I just think that up?
No.
Okay.
I'm throwing it open for discussion for.
Okay. So I know we're supposed to be 6 times a year, but that is our minimum.
Right.
Okay. And so I didn't know if you all already had some time frame in mind, or if you had some ideas and what input you wanted from us with respect to that.
The question was, what, if any, input do you want from the commissioners about meeting times and scheduling and so forth? Anything and everything you want to share with us.
Okay.
Email Bethany. Tentatively, you can see a pattern develop. Tentatively, we have actually some dates, right? They're not in your folder, but they are in mine. I feel strongly that, well, let me say this. We're not going to meet, subject to, you're overruling the chair. We're not going to meet in July and August. It's sort of the convention, sort of the tradition, but I'm not saying we'll never meet in July or August. I mean, if a witness or if an issue comes up, we will certainly meet. I expect the work groups to probably meet in July and or August, okay? Because remember, you're going to be having meetings with your work groups in addition to the minimum 6 meetings per year of the whole commission. So if you don't mind, write these things down. They will be confirmed. And they're not going to be, great. I understand they're not going to be available for everybody. December 11th, that's a Wednesday. January 9, which I think is not a Wednesday. And the January meeting, we're avoiding the opening of the General Assembly. So I think the 9th is a Thursday. March 5th, no meeting in April. May 14th, June 11th, September 10th, and October 8th. So those are tentative. I would ask you to give us your calendar on those. Give us that slot on your calendar if you can. And then provide us with feedback after the meeting today through an email to Bethany. Question has arisen, by the way, about proxies and sending someone in your place. Frankly, I have no problem with you sending someone, if you just can't make it. If you're in an institutional setting, you can't make it. But voting will be strictly by commissioners. So when we have findings and recommendations to vote on, it will be by a vote of a quorum present for the vote. Yes, Mr. Secretary.
Will you make it the same time at this 3 to 5?
Yes, yes. For now, actually we said 4 to 6. Okay, it might work better for some, for many people. 3 to 5 imposes certain hardships on perhaps students and parents. So we want to accommodate as best we can, and we don't want to get into the dinner hour. We have snacks for you today. Don't expect snacks. Bring your own snack. All right. By the way, you do get reimbursed for mileage and, you know, other expenses associated with your service as a commissioner that you incur. But bring your own snacks. And eating during a meeting is perfectly fine with me. You know, as I used to tell my law students, I prefer that you eat something that you didn't need a utensil for. That's because I'm really big on popcorn. But even eating with the utensil in a commission meeting, the chair signs off on that. Especially in light of, you know, late afternoon meetings. I'm not trying to, you know, make life miserable for anybody. Other questions, observations, concerns? Yes, Dolly.
Is there a time frame that you're working on with the assignment of a workbook?
Yes. I will say, the question was, what's the time frame for the work groups? And I'm going to guarantee that the assignments, that the appointments of vice chair, secretary, and co-chairs of the work groups and membership on the work groups will be in your mailbox no later than noon the day before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving this year is late, the 28th of November. So that's 3 weeks from tomorrow. So please be sure to leave those sheets, and please be sure to sign the attendance sheet that's passing around. Yeah,
I wanted to confirm, is the location for the meeting gonna always be here?
thank you for reminding us. Great. So the default will be here, but one of the things that it's important to me is that we achieve, among other forms of diversity, geographic diversity in our meeting. So to the extent that you have an office in Howard County, Montgomery County, Carroll County, wherever you, I mean, that's part of the richness of this work. So yes, the default will be here, but to the extent that we can get a suitable place, I want to lessen the travel burden and make it as equal as possible for as many commissioners as possible. So yes, I do anticipate that we will find locations around the state where some meetings will occur other than here, but this will be the default location. Yes, Mr. Secretary.
2 things, Judge. One is, thanks to GoCap for staffing this and getting all this organized. And I think it should, want to say, I feel like the governor picked the right person. I'm really given it a lot of thought. And I appreciate what you had to say today. The other thing is I'm happy to have one of the meetings at least at one of my facilities. And if I could figure out a way to do it, where you interact with the kids that doesn't break any laws, I'll try to make that happen.
Absolutely. For those of you who couldn't quite hear, the secretary has offered, if possible, and I love the idea of having at least one meeting, I would say one meeting a year at one of the Department of Juvenile Services facilities, with perhaps some interactions with the residents. I think that's a great idea, Mr. Secretary, and that's the kind of creative thinking that I know that all of you will bring to the work. Thank you. Other observations, other questions, any concerns?
Are the breakout sessions
are they going to also have to comply with the Meetings Act?
Yes, the work group sessions will be subject to the Open Meetings Act. And Ainsley and Bethany are experts in both the Open Meetings Act as well as the Maryland Public Information Act. So they will make sure that our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted so that we are always in compliance with the law. So you want to be careful to use your personal cell phone to communicate about commission business. That's okay, but that potentially subjects your phone to a Maryland Public Information Act screened by the lawyers in the Attorney General's office, or it goes back. So you want to be mindful of that. Oral communications, of course, are not subject to the Maryland Public Information Act. Gentlemen. But we're not hiding anything. We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. Now, again, I do want to emphasize what Brittany said earlier. When it comes to the investigation of potential fatalities, there will likely be HIPAA issues and privacy issues, law enforcement issues. And so I need to emphasize in those regards, if you end up on a work group that, it could be any work group, frankly, that has to handle highly sensitive, confidential, personally identifiable information. And so you need to be constantly aware of that. Again, I think it'll be limited. It'll be fairly limited. But just have it in your mind that this is confidential work insofar as some other statute or regulation may be protective of certain kinds of information that you come into possession of. And of course, Brittany and Ainsley and I will be sure at the task force level, at the work group level, as well as generally, to alert you to any confidentiality concerns regarding your possession and access to information. And I'm sure, no doubt, will Secretary Shirley, to the extent that it involves that kind of information. Other questions? Any concerns? Any requests? No resignation. Not accepted.
Mr. Chair, how frequently do you anticipate having the work groups meeting?
That'll be up to the co-chairs. But I would think at least, I would think at least 4 times a year, quarterly. Quite likely more than quarterly. And I would consult with the co-chairs and facilitate whatever support is needed to make sure they happen. Which, by the way, I'm assuming the work groups will be by Zoom by and large. Yeah. But again, that's up to the co-chairs and the members of the work.
Judge,
Yes.
a question for you. In our individual capacities, if we have questions that might require additional research or support, is that something that we can individually send? Should we send that to our co-chairs? Can we send that to you? Can we send that to Bethany?
The answer is yes. Any information you need, any document that you think you need to review to inform your work, Dr. Young is anxious to receive the request. By the way, I think most of you know that, the work of this commission is actually building on the pre-existing work. And I think they all have, you got a hot link in the welcome letter from me to some very important documents that you want to take a look at. So it's a hot link. So I would encourage all of you to review that material so that you are, the Juvenile Justice Reform Council materials, and the DJX resource guide, which is really great. And that will give you a really good grounding. Most of you clearly have good grounding in juvenile justice issues. That's why you're here. But it would be a great refresher for all of us to look at some of that material. But yeah, any requests for research assistance? We have, I don't know if the director will want me to say this, but she has interns. Right? So there is effective research assistance available. Right?
Yes.
Okay, she said yes. Anything else for the good of the order? Thank you all so very much for indulging me, for allowing me to join you, for rolling up your sleeves and getting to this work. What an incredible group. And I can't believe I didn't arrange for a photograph today. But we'll get that done soon enough. Maybe we'll wait until spring. Yeah, and take some food with you if you can. There being no further business to come before the commission, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
All. And I know that I have yielded back 41 minutes. You're gonna open that 41 minutes.
Please either leave your name in it or tuck it in your folder. For the next meeting, we will try to recycle those if possible.
Okay.
President of my organization, and that's when I do.